Sports fans, PB&Z Sports Chaos. We're back at you. We get a little bit of the quarterback carousel as the world spins in the quarterback world. We'll talk about that momentarily. PB's got an A list, and this week Z has the Z list. You're going to love it when you hear this one. Got some surprises for you. Hey, first of all, couple of 2-minute drill things to talk about. Tiger Woods, PB. This was a horrible, horrible crash. Last week we talked about Serena and her 15 minutes of fame is probably over. Is Tiger's golf life over as we know it?
I mean, golf life is a strong, way to put it right now. I mean,
professionally.
I mean, it would be a miracle, I think, for him to just get back into a tournament that actually had some significance to it and see him play golf. I mean, regardless of where he finishes, that would be something to see. But as far as being contender and winning a major or winning any other tournament for that matter, I think it might be over right now.
Yeah, so 2 for 2. Last week Serena, now Tiger. Hey, speaking of golf and goats, Novak, the Joker, Djokovic, he won the Aussie Open last week. PB, I did not realize this. He is now 41-0 as a #1 seed at the Australian Open with 9 titles. Next year it comes around, you get a few $100. Would you play it? Would you play it on him? Why not?
I know, why not? Yeah.
41-0, 9 titles. Unbelievable.
That's almost like Nadal in the French Open, right?
Yeah. Hey, speaking of odds, MLB's odds are out. Dodgers, who knew, right? They're going to be #1 seed. Yankees, Padres, who we've been talking about, they're sneaking up. They're now #3. But PB, the White Sox and Mets are 4 and 5 in Vegas.
Wow.
Whoa. All right. Speaking of baseball, I heard this one. I had to mention this one. Vlad Guerrero Jr. He's lost 42 pounds since last season. What? Is anybody going to recognize him? Does he look like a scarecrow? What? Oh, my God. We'll see. All right. Hey, speaking of last weekend, we had another marathon in sports. The NHL, they're out at Lake Tahoe. We talked about it was playing up last weekend. Avs in Vegas played a matinee game on Saturday. It went 8 hours later before they finished. They had to wait till midnight to resume the game between the first and second period. PB, if I'm not mistaken, you said last week, NHL has no problems. It's the perfect league. How did they not recognize that the sun in Tahoe in the middle of Nevada would not melt the snow?
Hey, but you know what? They figured out they immediately reacted and had a plan with it, and they played the game for all intents and purposes on the same day because it started at 9 o'clock on the West Coast time. So they still finished the game on the same day. I thought it was kind of cool.
Oh, on the West Coast, yes. It was an 8-hour delay here on the East Coast. Hey, they learned their lesson, though. They moved the Bruins-Philly game the next day. It was supposed to be a 2 o'clock game. They moved it to 7. And by the way, Philly fans, sorry, we are now 5-0 against this year. Bruins crushed them that night, right?
Yeah.
All right, PB, speaking of hockey, Claude Julien fired once again from the Canadiens. He won a cup in 11 from the Bruins, got fired, got rehired by the Canadiens, now fired again. I don't know, poor Claude. What do you got for hockey news for us?
Yeah, well, we're about, 30%, 33%, depending on how you look at it, through the season. So we're at a significant point here where teams are starting to separate themselves. And my A list for you is going to be what I consider to be the top 5 teams in the NHL right now.
PB's A list brought to you by Radiant Pig IPA. Own the night. All right, go ahead.
All right. Love it. All right. So at number 5, I have the Florida Panthers. This was a surprise pick for me to even have them finishing in the top 4 in that division. And I didn't have them coming out of that division, but I had them finishing in the top 4. And I have them at number 5 overall right now. 13-4-2 is their record. They're actually ahead of Tampa Bay in that division. I don't think they're a better hockey team than Tampa Bay. Big surprise there is Drager, the goalie, with a 2.18 goals against average, and a save percentage just about 93%. So that's who I have at number 5. Number 4, I have our Boston Bruins. They're 11.
Only 4, huh? All right.
Only
I'm surprised
4.
they're higher. Okay.
Well, they're 11-4-2. So there are a couple wins there. Florida was 13-4-2, a couple wins behind them. Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak, the big three there, they're all putting up great offensive numbers. They're looking good. Rask's goaltending is average at best, maybe even below average. That's going to hurt them down the stretch. I know they're going to try and split some games with him, but between the pipes and the playoffs, it's Rask day in and day out. And if he can't do what he can do in the playoffs, and if he wears down at all, that's going to hurt that team trying to come out of that division. But I do have them at number 4 right now.
Okay.
Number 3, much like the Bruins in a way, I look at this team as more of an offensive team, not necessarily a defensive team, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I'll tell you, their offense is pretty intense and pretty sick. They're 15-4-2. So just imagine the Bruins would have to win their next 4 games straight to get to that same record. And the Panthers would have to win the next 2 games straight to get to that record. And one of the big reasons for this, Austin Matthews. The guy's a stud. He's probably having an MVP type season.
Yes.
Leads the NHL in goals with 18 goals. And he's
Right.
also in, 3rd in the league, I think, in overall points. So good team there, good offense there. Number 2 on the list, I have the Vegas Knights. Vegas Knights are at 11-4-1. Almost the same record as the Bruins, just one less overtime loss. Big reason here, though, and this is why I love this team so much. Marc-Andre Fleury, between the pipes. This guy is insane. He has a 1.55 goals against average and a save percentage almost at 95%. The guy is sick between the pipes. If he keeps playing like that, even with just an average offense, that team can go deep into the playoffs.
He's never played that well before. He's been around for years. He's never played that well before. He's always been pretty good, but never that good.
Yeah. And I think you have Vegas in the cup at the end of the year. I had the Avalanche in the cup, and I don't have the Avalanche in my top 5. I have them just outside of that at number 6, actually, despite their record. But they do have, a few less games played than a lot of other teams. The Avs will be there in the end, trust me. But right now, Vegas is that number 2 team. I still think it's either Vegas or the Avs going to the Cup. One of those 2 teams out of that division.
So who's number 1?
Number 1, I think it's clear, easy choice. Number 1 is Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay Lightning sitting at 13-4-1. I know they're in second place behind Florida in that own division, but still, best team without Kucherov either. This team is still cruising along. Vasilevsky is a big reason why he has a 1.87 goals against average, and he has a save percentage, I think number 1 save percentage in the entire HL of over 95%. So that is your team to watch. That's the team that's going to get hot down the stretch. That's the team that's going to be the team to beat in the playoffs. It's going to be probably a Tampa Bay Bruins, Tampa Bay Philly final, I think, and then you're going to have a Vegas and Colorado can't play in the finals, in the semifinals, I should say.
Right.
So I could see one of those teams, Vegas or the Avs, Bruins, Flyers, and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's, and I don't think Toronto's going to get there. I think Toronto's going to have a great season, but they're going to falter in the playoffs. Tampa Bay's the team to watch this year in the NHL, and they could repeat for the Cup very easily.
Wow, man, you're getting sun-drenched in the brain down there in Florida, I can tell you. All right. Hey, listen. I got a little surprise for you. A bunch of fans reached out to me after last week's show. They're like, how does PB not have any grievances with the NHL and hockey? And I'm like, well, what's the matter? They go, well, go Google it. So I did. I Googled this, a little thing on the internet. What is the problem with the NHL? I got 171,000 responses in 1.4 seconds. Here, with my Z list, most common reasons why, PB. You got a lot of explaining to do, as they say. No icing calls on penalty kill. What? Just last week you said about college football, you can't change the game for overtime. Yet NFL, NHL, they don't call penalties for icing on a penalty kill. I don't get it. Why reward the team who's guilty of an infraction by letting them ice the puck? Horrible, dude.
That's the rule of hockey. That's the way it's always been.
All right, moving on. You got a poor excuse for that.
If you have an extra attack, I'm gonna rebuttal. I'm gonna tell you why. If you have an extra attacker on the ice, the goal is to keep the puck in the in the offensive end. If you can't keep it in the offensive end, you got to reset. So
No. You don't change the rules. You said it last week. Don't change the rules to something different during the game. Moving on. Shorten the season. It's much too long. They go through the motions too often. 54 games this year is great. By the way, shorten the game. You know how you shorten the game? You take away a blue line offsides video review. What sport allows you to have a review a minute and a half later after the infraction like they do in hockey? You can't have that. Oh, by the way, is he on the blue line? Is he above the blue line? Does he have a sliver of skate over the blue line? No. Don't call the infraction. Don't have a video review. We don't want to go back 2 minutes of time.
I agree with that one.
Game.
I agree with that one.
PB. The other thing is headshots. They got to get the ruling right. NFL, college football, they come out with some concise rules about headshots. It's too inconsistent. One day I can knock you out with an elbow. Next day it's okay. I don't get it, man. They got to be more consistent with headshots. Concussions, right?
Agreed.
I got two good ones for you. Go back to the old playoff format. 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. Why play a whole season versus your rival conference divisional opponents and then play them again in the playoffs? Create more rivalries. Who wants to see the same bull beep? Gotta change that, man. PB has no report. All right, the last one I got for you. This is the best one of all. The points format. You get 2 points for winning the game in regulation or overtime or a shootout. But it gets even better. If you go to overtime and you lose, you get a point. So you still go up in the playoff seedings. What? No sport in North America rewards you for losing.
Wait. Let's go. Before the rule was made, here it was a tie, each team got a point. So all they changed was the game in regulation ended in a tie. Each team automatically gets a point for that tie. Then they give you an opportunity to get a bonus point at 2. They're not rewarding the team for losing. They're rewarding the team for tying in regulation. Just like before, that's how the standings work. That's how the point system works. 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie.
You win or lose. If you go to overtime, you don't get a point. Come on.
They give, it used to end in a tie and each team would get a point. Now they give a team a chance to earn an extra point by winning in that overtime period or shootout.
All right. Not many people agree with you. All right, NFL news. Let's move on. Quarterback carousel. Anything happening down there with your boy Tua?
No, he's still sitting pretty in Miami.
All right. Russell Wilson, apparently, now he's apparently on the trade block. Who knows? He said, I don't want to leave Seattle, but then he names 4 teams that he plays for. If you don't want to leave your home team, why would you name 4 teams that you would go play for?
Yeah, he's had a rough run there lately in Seattle, and he doesn't get protected too well either. So I could see him, if he wants to extend his career, he's got to play for a team that's going to protect him.
So you think he gets traded?
There's a chance.
Ooh,
I know the
where
Bears
would be an ideal? One of his picks was Dallas. He won't get much blocking there either, but
yeah, I think Chicago would be a good choice. I think that would make Chicago an instant Super Bowl contender.
Man, I don't know. You go from Seattle, Chicago, and all that weather. Whew. I mean, I know it's wet and rainy in Seattle, but it's not ice and snow. We'll see. All right. Hey, what about the Dak Prescott thing? Speaking of Dallas, this thing is going on and on and on. Apparently, Dak wants $40 million. I don't get it. If you're a quarterback in the NFL, learn from Tom Brady. Don't take $40 million because you can't pay the other guys on your team, right?
Right, exactly. And you know what? Dak has had some decent years, but he's not an elite NFL quarterback by any means. So you can't pay him. You can't pay him that kind of money, and you're not going to be able to build the rest of your team, and you're not going to be able to give him the tools he needs to win. I just think that's a big mistake.
I love the guy, but you're right, man. He's a $28 to $29 million a year quarterback. Call it a day. Get other guys on the team. All right. I can't believe there's been no trades this week, PB. It's the first time we've talked in like 3 weeks. There's been no trades, right?
I know, right?
And there'll probably be one in the next 5 minutes. We'll see. All right, let's talk a little NBA.
Well, what about Deshaun though? We gotta. I mean, what's gonna happen with Deshaun? I mean,
what do you think?
I mean, there's a franchise that's in obviously complete turmoil and complete disarray. There's no question about it. They've had some problems over the years. They're just continuing those problems now. I feel bad for, obviously their new coach and anybody else trying to come into that coaching system because the whole place is an absolute poop show. And now when they have an opportunity maybe to at least go out and get something for Deshaun, who I would consider him to be an elite quarterback in the NFL, probably top 5 for sure, if not top 3 or 4. And they're holding on to him. They're not trying to make deals. They think that he's going to stay there and play for them, and they think they can work it out. And what's going to happen over time? These teams are going to trade with other teams. They're going to get into the draft. Everything is impacted by that cornerstone. And if you don't make a move for it now, you're going to be screwed later. And they're just like not making good decisions as a franchise right now.
And you're saying there's no noise down there in Southern Florida about the Dolphins offering up a big package yet, right?
No, I haven't seen anything or heard anything, and certainly not reading anything. It's not on the media, not over the media or anything like that. So more you hear, 2 is the man, and two is the guy that they invested in, and 2 is the guy that they're going to groom.
That's the package. I mean, the Dolphins have a lot to offer, including with Tua, right? Other than that, we talked about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's Sam Darnold and some of the package from the Jets. So you're right. You know what? Texans are in trouble. They're going to be down to the last minute, and they're going to get stuck with Jameis Winston. No, maybe not even Jameis. Probably Cam Newton as their quarterback and a sack of potatoes, right?
That team could finish behind the Jaguars next year.
Well, you know what? It's the Patriot way. Casario just doesn't understand. Move on, brother. Move on, right?
Yeah.
He thinks he can salvage it. You can't salvage it. At the end of the day. All right. Hey, NBA, we're going to talk more about this next week on the All-Star game. But I got to ask right now, PB, Brad Stevens, should he be on the hot seat?
Yeah, I mean, you've been saying that for a couple of years now. And this year with this team and that talent and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are 2 excellent players, and
they're in the All-Star game this year. You got 2 All-Stars. You're less than 500.
And you can't be over 500 as a team. Man, there's some problems going on there, man. And it's got to be coaching. It's got to be.
Or the guy picking the groceries, as Bill Parcells likes to say, right? Danny Ainge. I mean, he has had some success. Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier, who he let go, and obviously Jalen and Jason. But other than that, the rest of the picks have absolutely beeped, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, next week, All-Star Weekend, we'll talk a little more about the NBA. I've got 5 good things to talk about. My A list, or I should say maybe Z list when you hear it. Anything else you want to offer before we sign off, brother?
No, I'm excited to hear your Z list here for the NBA.
You'll get it next week, brother. I will talk about it during All-Star Weekend, God forbid. All right, PB&Z Sports Chaos, Radiant Pig. TB's having this little truly this week. We're signing off. Take care, man.